China and Russia are working together to create a new land grain corridor. This special route will connect railways and terminals to help them trade grains more easily. This project is important because it will help China get food at lower prices and allow Russia to sell its grains without being affected by Western sanctions. In May 2023, China and Russia signed a huge grain contract worth $25 billion. This deal means that Russia will send 70 million tons of grains and oils to China over the next 12 years. China is the biggest buyer of wheat in the world and has been importing a lot of grains from countries like the United States, Canada, and France. However, with the new corridor, Russia could take over as the main supplier of grains for China. Inner Mongolia, a province in China, is expected to receive about 8 million tons of Russian grain every year once the corridor is fully operational. This change could mean that Russia replaces North America and France in China's food supply. American farmers might not even realize this is happening because the transactions will not be done in places like Chicago or London, and they won't use US dollars or euros. For China, this corridor is a way to get food from a closer source. This is important because it helps China secure its food supply and reduces the need to rely on faraway countries. By getting grains from Russia, China can save money and ensure that it has enough food for its people. For Russia, this corridor opens up new markets for its grains. Since Western countries have imposed sanctions on Russia, this new route allows Russia to sell its grains to China and other Asian countries without facing those restrictions. This partnership is good for both countries because it helps China get food from a friendlier nation and allows Russia to access a big market. Inner Mongolia is a key player in this new corridor. The province is located near the border with Russia and will be a major point for receiving Russian grains. Once the corridor is fully working, Inner Mongolia could become a hub for grain imports, allowing Russia to increase its market share in China. The new infrastructure being built, like special railway terminals and warehouses, will make it easier to transport grains from Russia to China. This will help reduce costs and make the trade process smoother. The rise of the Russia-China grain corridor could be a big challenge for American farmers. If Russia starts sending more grains to China, farmers in the US, Canada, Australia, and France may find it harder to sell their products. This is because China may not need to buy as much grain from these countries anymore. American farmers might not even know how much market share they are losing. The transactions will be settled in local currencies, which means they might not see the same market signals they are used to. This could make it difficult for them to know how to price their grains or what to plant. Alongside the corridor, Russia is also planning to create a BRICS grain exchange. This platform will allow countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa to trade grains directly with each other. They will not need to use US dollars, which could help them avoid Western financial systems. The BRICS countries produce a large portion of the world's grains and meats. By creating this exchange, they can trade more easily among themselves, which could change how global agricultural markets work. While the Russia-China grain corridor and the BRICS grain exchange could bring many benefits, there are also challenges they will need to face. For the corridor to work well, they need to build new railways and terminals quickly. If there are delays, it could slow down the trade process. Each country has its own rules about farming and trading. They will need to agree on these rules to trade smoothly. Tensions between countries could disrupt trade. If conflicts arise, it might affect how grains are transported. The new trading systems could lead to confusion about prices and market conditions. Farmers may find it harder to understand what is happening in the global market. The new grain corridor aims to help China secure its food supply, but it could also change food security around the world. On one hand, it could make the global grain supply more diverse, which is good because it means countries won't rely on just a few suppliers. This could make the food system stronger and less vulnerable to problems. On the other hand, if traditional grain exporters like the US and Canada lose their market share, this could create concerns about food supply and prices. If fewer countries are selling grains, it may lead to higher prices and less stability in the food market. The Russia-China grain corridor is a big step in changing how grains are traded globally. It could help China get food more easily and allow Russia to sell its grains without facing restrictions. However, this change could make it harder for American farmers and other traditional suppliers to compete. As this corridor develops, it will be important to watch how it affects global food security and trade. Farmers and policymakers will need to pay attention to these changes to ensure a stable and fair food system for everyone. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more updates.